Hey everyone, I'm the Flute Guy. Welcome to episode 2 of the Flute Guy Show. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you, Gurdain, an amazing tabla player from the UK, for joining me on this show. Nice to have you, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah. So we just finished a few videos.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
You'll either have seen them or you will see them. So either way, please do check out Gurdain. I'll put his links in the description below. So please do check out his awesome tabla work. So we're just going to talk about music and stuff. But first of all, what do you think about where the future of... let's give an introduction to you. How did you get into music?
So I was fortunate to have tabla and Indian classical music in my family. My mother's father, my grandfather, he learnt professionally in India from various maestros, and my dad used to learn from him. So it's been in the family. And then my uncle plays sitar as well. So I got to learn tabla and listen to a lot of classical music from the beginning, really. So it was like in my brain.
Wow.
So
Was it also kind of pressurizing as well? Did you feel at times?
I didn't find it too pressurizing. I know my dad didn't really force me to sit and practice. It came as a part of the day kind of thing. Tabla was always out, and I would just gravitate towards it naturally. My dad used to teach at home. He'd have all his students there. It was a natural environment to develop, and I just sort of picked it up.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah. So what kind of advice would you give for someone who might not have that environment and who wants to learn?
Well, the advantage now is you do have lots of ability to listen to lots of music online. So even if you're not in the environment, you can be influenced a lot. I think that it would definitely be a good idea to get a teacher that you'd be able to learn from, and they would be able to advise you generally on what to listen to and what not to listen to, because there's a lot of good players and a lot of bad players on YouTube, for example. So it's easy to kind of it's a subject matter, isn't it? So you've got to have some grounding in the subject material so that you can appreciate the do's and don'ts and how to navigate within the rules.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Otherwise, you just become a complete freestyle player with no sense of understanding of the subject. So
Yeah.
I think that's important. So I think for someone today who wants to get into it, maybe doesn't have the environment, there's a lot online that can keep you interested, and then it's about trying to find a good teacher that can sort of get you on the right path.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Yeah, and I think we are very lucky to be living in such a digital age. You can pick and choose what kind of music you listen to all the time. There's like a little hair that's just sticking out. All right, you can pick and choose like what kind of music you want to listen. If you want to become a classical musician, you can just listen to that 24/7 now, and that wasn't possible 100 years ago. We are living in very lucky times. But then also as you say, there's the flip side. You could be listening to the wrong kind of music.
Well, the flip side is all to do with classical music as a form, and the heritage the heritage and history that it comes with. Because a lot of especially Carnatic music and Hindustani classical, it has its rules, and the rules actually define the subject matter and everything that's about it. And it's like I said, it's about navigating within the rules. Somebody has to teach you exactly what is done, and you need to develop it at a certain point to then be able to explore around the fringes and still kind of not look like somebody who's just started to dabble in the instrument. If you know what I mean. It's like if I was to pick up an African drum, I'm going to give it the Indian treatment. And an African drummer that plays that instrument is going to think, oh well, he's kind of doing the wrong thing. So I think every instrument and every music form has a culture behind it and a heritage, and it's about really getting to grips with what that's all about. So a good teacher is important, but I do think you've got loads of influences as well online, and that helps, because there's a lot of good support out there. So.
And then it's interesting because we've been talking a lot about online. Like, what do you think the future of music looks like? As in 10 years' time, what do you think is going to be the field?
Well, now with streaming music services, we don't have fixed listening styles anymore. You know, it used to be, prior to Spotify, I used to be like, okay, I listen to this genre and this genre, or this artist and that artist, and I'm going to buy this particular album. But now, with streaming services, you're listening to people that you've never heard of before, and you're listening to sort of types of music that you've never heard of. There's a lot more, the ability to listen to a lot of different styles and a lot of different, you know, around globally, also means people are creating more, you know, fusion music in a sense. I mean, fusion is such a blanket term, you know, but you're seeing that way more. People have got much more wide listening styles and listening tendencies, and they can find people who listen to the same music as them. Whereas, you know, you would have certain niches that are really hard to grapple onto. Now you can find the most obscure stuff. So I think musically,
and then not only that, but also find a community behind it.
Yeah, you can find a community behind
That's so
it.
true,
And there's a lot more collaboration. It's a lot less of this is what this music is, but this is this music, this is this. How can I create a hybrid? Nowadays, there's so much more hybrid influences, I think. And I guess the tricky thing is, with so many styles, so much ability to have exposure, and the fast pace of everything, information, music, it's really hard to stand out.
Yeah.
You know, because something can become a hit and then disappear. So it's more about staying true to what you feel is your sense of music, and that obviously is a changing thing. It changes through influences through time. But if you're sticking to that, if you're sticking to the root of what is real about yourself, then your music's going to relate to someone. You know, if you know, you have purists out there who literally will only want to do what's pure.
Yeah.
They don't want to, you know, cross-contaminate or whatever, and that's fine. You know, they're suited to that.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be there to bring out that side of the music. And then you've got people who really, they may have learned in that way, but that doesn't interest them. They want to constantly be skirting on the edge. You know, not only in terms of music, but in terms of ideas of how to present music, or how to, you know, collaborate with people,
right,
or thinking completely out the box. So I think it's a case of, it's almost a free-for-all in a way. You know, you've got a lot of people doing a lot of different things, and as long as you're staying true to what you feel, then go for it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's interesting as well that you mentioned Spotify, because Spotify has been described as a destroyer of the music industry, because they've been able to allow people to listen to music freely. And then for the artists, that's become quite a problem, and also for record labels and stuff regarding money. So what's your view about art? Should it be free of charge?
Well, it's very tricky, because I know for one that, you know, if I was trying to get my music out there as a musician, streaming services would be a lot less lucrative for me. I wouldn't be getting the worth necessarily that you would compare to when, you know, back in the days of when it was only CDs, and you would literally make the money that you know, each album that you sell or each single that you sell. Now it's tricky because of streaming services, but I can also say I benefit from the ability to listen. So I guess it's a case of the artists that you really, really admire. You will support their music in more ways than just streaming. You might consider buying the album to have that physical copy. You might consider, going to their concerts. It's a completely different game now.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and there's all that debate about whether how much of social media translates into an audience. We're now connected to thousands of people, and we as humans we're not individually capable of being connected to thousands of people. Because historically, we what did we have? We had a phone book.
Yeah.
A finite number of people in there, and you might only contact a certain number of them.
Yeah.
Now you're literally connected to 5,000 people on Facebook. Tens and tens of thousands on Instagram. How much of those are you really engaging with, or even able to fully engage with, like on an audience perspective. It all depends on how where your audience is. You know, is it in shows? Is it in people listening to music? It's very tricky now to be able to, as a musician, earning is a different thing now. I do think art should be available to listen to. I think we also need to put more value into it, in a way, because, you know, we as musicians know that there's nothing really like artistry. Yeah. You know, in terms of for the soul, you know, for humanity in general, music especially is this universal language that speaks directly to the heart. It completely speaks to our souls. So 100%. It should be available, but it's about really trying to support the music that you love. Yeah. And not just sort of taking it for granted that it's available. Yeah. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, so I mean, as we go on in the future, it looks like we're going to be going towards that kind of abundance model. There's going to be more free music available, and yeah, it doesn't look so great for the artist. Yeah, per se. Yeah, it might be good for the art, like it will be disseminated everywhere, but not necessarily the artist.
Yeah, that's true. You're a much smaller piece of a puzzle now.
What would
There's choice. It's the same as Netflix on demand. Yeah. You know, you've just got the platform is bigger. You don't just have the A-listers. You've got everything on there. You've got local dramas that are super popular. Netflix is the biggest example. You know, you're seeing shows that you would never, that wouldn't even be interested in seeing. Yeah. You're avoiding movies to see like seasons and stuff, and even you can even see Hollywood is moving over to Netflix.
Yeah, we were talking about this.
The whole model is changing. The whole cinema going model is now it's all about Netflix and chill. Yeah. So yeah, everything's changing. Yeah, and it's always changing according to the consumer, and and it's always kind of it's consumer led in a way that it's choice and availability for us. We can watch whatever we want, whenever we want. It's kind of going down that route that we can sit on a couch and get everything now. Yeah. You know, which is a bit sad in a way, but unfortunately we're kind of all used to it as well. Yeah, we're all part of the system. In the same way that you can't avoid a youngster now from using a mobile phone because it's part of life. You know, when we were young, it was like, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. Now it's like, at a certain age, you know, because of technology, people are expected to be in a certain place. So, yeah, generational thing. Yeah.
Well, the future's looking absolutely amazing. Thank you, Gurdain, man. Thank you so much for your time, man. This was Gurdain, amazing tabla player. You would have seen him in some of my videos. His links are in the description below, so please do check him out. Thank you all of you for tuning in to the Flute Guys show. There's going to be new episodes, hopefully every week. I'm going to try my best. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and take care.
Take care.